Welcome into the second episode of the Softball on SI podcast. I'm your host, Angus Combs, and I am by myself today, but that's okay because we have a jam-packed show with multiple interviews, capping Clearwater with Michele Smith, and then also introducing Nebraska catcher Jesse Farrell after she had a huge weekend in Clearwater with her two-run home run against Texas Tech in the finale that aired on ESPN. So without further ado, let's welcome in Michele Smith. All right. Thank you for hopping on, Michele. Have you recovered from Clearwater yet?
In the process, not quite fully recovered. In the process. Wow. I mean, now that it's over, it was like a blur. It's like, whew, what happened?
Right?
Amazing softball happened.
Yeah. So many good games.
So many good games. Uh, we're just blessed that our sport is at this point now where we have so many fantastic athletes. We have events that highlight the skills that we have. And, I just feel really fortunate to be able to be a part of the sport and help to continue to hopefully grow it in the right directions.
I think one of the biggest storylines that came out of Clearwater this weekend is Tennessee. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
What did you see from the Lady Vols that impressed you? And I mean, they're a unanimous number one across the board.
It's funny because I think everybody thought Tennessee, well, they got back 90 whatever percent of it, what it was of their pitching, their strikeouts, wins, all that good stuff. I mean, they obviously are loaded in the circle, but I don't know that any of us were prepared for them to be so good offensively. Ella Dodge was a superstar yet again. We saw that last year toward the end of the year. She was really starting to emerge as a freshman, but still standing out as a sophomore. They're just good. They're scrappy. I think that Karen Weekly's done a great job with them instilling the mindset. Their word this year is dominate. It's not like dominate like we want to grind everybody in the ground. I think it's the mindset that you need to not just win, but you want to dominate or win every pitch. So in other words, you can't let up. If you're going to dominate something, you're not letting your foot off the gas pedal. And a lot of young athletes have a tendency to do that. They get a lead or they get a hit or two and they're like, oh, that's good enough. Good enough is to me the enemy of great. So I love their mindset. And then, of course, Carlin Pickens, they just have a great pitching staff. I mean, every arm that ran out there, Aaron Newer was outstanding. When you have a complete team like that, they played good defense. When you have a complete team like that, you're going to be ranked number one in the country. And they are deservedly so. It was fun to watch them.
Yeah. At this point, I think the way that things are shaking out, this number one ranking is Tennessee's to lose for the foreseeable future.
Yes. I agree with that. I mean, they're going to be tested in the SEC.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, but what I love of what Karen did is that she went out and she didn't shy away from a tournament like this. There's a lot of coaches that are like, oh no, I'm going to pad my stats or I'm going to pad the confidence level of my athletes. And it helps kids when they're young at the beginning, but Coach Weekly did not do that. So I think that's going to bode well, but they are going to be challenged in the SEC, but that's the stuff that makes you good at the end, right? Because you've been through it, like you're tested. And so I'm excited to see what they do this year.
Another team that stood out that was tested in their first weekend, they dropped a game at home in Athens, Georgia, or the Bulldogs. They took a giant jump in the rankings this week. They were very impressive in Clearwater.
Absolutely. And, this is a team that, again, you were like, oh, what are they going to have back? They've always got a good offense. But it was interesting talking to their coaching staff. And they were like, last year we were changing some things. And they kind of went back to their apogee, like really letting the ball travel and get inside and then driving it the other way. It was interesting talking to Tony Baldwin, and he's like, it's not like that we actually are like, let's try to hit the apogee, but by just letting the ball travel, it puts us in a position for that to be the result. And their bats were explosive again, and I just love seeing everything. They've got some good pickups. Kirsten Roos at the leadoff was outstanding. Grad student, I think Coastal Carolina is where she came in from. I mean, it was great to see her, show out, because a lot of people are like, oh, you've got a, mid-major come over and how well is she going to do? Boom. She was outstanding. They pitched well in the circle. Randy Rawling, we saw her a couple times. I did not get to see Addison Fisher live, I don't believe, but they were good. They were fundamentally sound. They hit the ball. And they were never satisfied if they put a 5 spot up in one inning. They just kept scoring. They were relentless. And honestly, that's the game nowadays. That's the game of collegiate softball. You have to continue to go out there and try to score runs every inning because there's a lot of great hitters out there.
Yeah. Speaking of great hitters, Texas Tech loaded,
Yeah.
but they were stifled by Alexis Jensen in
Gosh.
Nebraska. So, what did you see from that game? What did you like from Jensen? And kind of talk about game was awesome. I'm
That
so glad
game
that was like the bookend of the weekend.
that game was so good for our sport, and the fact that it was on ESPN and they did what they needed to do to make sure it was gonna make, ESPN. And what a stud for a freshman. I'm just so excited to talk to her about her because she got beat up last week, right? Going up
Yeah.
against Texas. And, it was funny because talking to Rhonda Revelle and talking to the coaching staff, they were like, the kid is mature beyond, her years because she's like, what did I learn from facing Texas and throwing as a freshman my first week in college? She's like, what I learned was if I put the ball in the white part of the plate, it got punished. And she said that it got punished. But she was like, okay, so these are fixable things. I'm just going to locate pitches differently. I mean, and she came out her first game, I think it was against LSU, I
Hmm.
believe it was. She was so good. I mean, shut that offense down. You talk about a confidence boost. So then, yes, going in that championship or not championship, our big game on Sunday night, throwing against Texas Tech. She gave up a couple runs, but never fell apart. I mean, she was outstanding. And I love the mentality of Nebraska that they came back. It didn't matter that they were going up against Niger. They were like, we're gonna get it done here. And they did. They came back, scored some runs in a big way, and put themselves in a position for Jordy to then come in and get the 3-2 win. And it was just great. But Alexis Jensen, bam, coming from the left side with that off-speed pitch, so good. And then Jordy Fromm, of course, amazing. She's completely different, right-handed pitcher, a lot of hard up. Those two together are going to be a tough mix to prepare for any team going up against them.
Yeah, I mean, you're a lefty, so you got the lefty love. I had to mention Jensen and get you talking about her because, yeah, that off speed, the
Yeah.
she hides it so well, and I mean, nobody sees it coming.
So think about this. She gets the start in Clearwater against LSU, which is a top 10 program, and she shuts them down. She retires the side in order in the first, second, and third. She has 5 strikeouts of the 9 against an LSU team that is so good. You talk going up against
Mhm.
Jayla Lassiter, Tori Edwards, Macy Bergeron. I mean, it's just like mind blowing that the first weekend was like, woo, I got a little shell shock to, I'm just going to shut you down. Yeah, I loved watching her. Just so many different tools in that toolbox and that lefty spin, and she's going to be fun to watch. And also love, and we don't know this 100%, but Jordy is number 98. She's number 99. I have to think it's like I got next. I'm 99, or I got your back, Jordy. And every time they won a big game and Jordy came in to help her out, she ran out of the dugout and gave
Yeah.
her the biggest bear hug. I think it's amazing. And I just want to close on one thing. I've always said that championship teams always have a pitching staff that loves each other, that supports
Mhm.
each other, that celebrates each other. And I can see that in that pitching staff.
Yeah, literally every big win that they've had so far,
Yeah.
where whether Jensen starts or Jordy
Yeah.
starts, there's a big, huge bear hug at the end, and Jensen is lifting Jordy in the air, and
Yeah.
you can see that they love each other, right? Like,
It's good
it,
stuff.
yeah. Were there any? I don't want to use the term disappointing performances, but were there any teams that you kind of had higher hopes for that maybe didn't perform up to par?
I think LSU could be, put in that category because that's a team that is very talented. They've got a lot of big names
Mhm.
on the lineup card, but I mean, it was tough. And this is a confidence thing, I think, a lot of times, is that it's easy to have that self-doubt kind of come into the picture. And then it's easy to carry it through a tournament like this because you're facing such good competition. So I want to say that they battled hard, but I thought maybe they were going to pull out some different games. I think the loss to Nebraska in game one set them back a little bit. They were shut out. It's a 6-0 loss to Nebraska
Mhm.
without even Fromm getting the start, Jordy Fromm getting the
Yeah.
start. I think that was a little bit of a blow to the gut a little bit. So I think this is a team though that I was surprised. They came back right away and they beat Oklahoma State. Okay, so
Yeah.
Oklahoma State did a great job scoring runs. They just allowed too many of their opponents to score more runs than them. But again, I think Oklahoma State was the only team that all five teams were ranked. Yeah, so Oklahoma State I think had the hardest schedule. But the loss to Duke for LSU, the loss losing 5-3, and then I was a little surprised about the UCF loss, 5-1, only putting up one run. By that time, though, on Saturday, I think they're just a little like, kind of shell shocked. And then I think the most disappointing was the run rule, the 8-0 loss to UCLA. So I think it was just all of a sudden they became less and less competitive as the event went on. And to me, that's a little bit about confidence, because they have a great team that can score runs. So they have a midweek matchup against South Alabama tonight. That's going to be important because that's another team that can pitch. So, but it's at home. It's always nice to go home. So, and then I think a little bit of Missouri too. I think Missouri's a team that I thought would maybe compete a little bit more at the beginning of the tournament. They found their way toward the end. I mean, that was a big win against FAU. And then to end it against Duke, that was huge. I mean, that 5-4 win against Duke
Mhm.
was, they needed that. But yeah, I was kind of surprised the loss to NC State, and then they came back and lost to UCLA and Northwestern. I think the NC State one, if they'd have won that game, they'd have come out at 3-2. I think that would
Yeah.
have felt a little bit more manageable. But that's a team, though, that I think they've got 10 more games before they start SEC play against mostly mid majors. They need to go 10-0 in those games, or
Yeah,
they're going to be in trouble.
yeah, that I just feel like the pressure's on Mizzou, right? After missing
Last year,
the
100%.
tournament last year and then coming into this year with a lot of new faces, I feel like the
Yep,
pressure's really on.
100%. 100%.
Well, okay. So, my big question that I learned from the weekend,
Yes.
when it comes to pitching, I'm seeing maybe it's a trend, but a lot of the veteran pitching outside of Carlin Pickens is
Uh-huh.
getting hit a little bit more than maybe what we're used to. Whereas you've got the freshmen and the some transfers to bigger programs that are seeing more success. What do you see in that? Is that like there's just so much information that with scouting is that what it is, or are we just seeing these veterans needing time to build up?
I think it's a combination of both those things. I think they need a little time to really settle in, but I also think that people know you. You're not hiding anymore, and that was the same way for me. I played so long but I changed every year. I had one little new pitch or a new way to throw a pitch or a little bit of a pause. You have to be a chameleon. You cannot stay the same. Like if you are the same pitcher as a senior that you were as a freshman, I can promise you your ERA will be going in the wrong direction because there's too many analytics. People know when you're behind what your best pitch is and where you're going to go to try to get that strike. So now they're hunting one specific part of the strike zone. And of course, it's easier to hit when you know where the pitch is going. And so I think the pitchers that can do a good job of pitching from ahead, locating early, so they have more tools to be able to pepper the strike zone are going to be the ones that are going to be more successful. But I was surprised that we didn't see a little bit more control of the strike zone, a little bit more dominance at the corners, on the edges. If you are in a top 25 program, you have to be able to hammer that glove without that glove moving, because that also tells the umpire a lot like, hey, she knows where she's throwing the pitch and where it's
Mhm.
going. And if you're constantly crossing up your catchers or pitches aren't moving or they're starting high and really dipping through the zone or, rising through the zone, but don't have really good late sharp movement, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And we saw a lot of that.
What are some of these teams, players that you're looking forward to covering and watching through the rest of the season?
Well, I'm excited to see Texas. I'm excited to see Alabama, some clubs that
Yeah.
we didn't get to see here. I think I'm mostly excited though to see some of the consistencies of what teams are going to really show up, even though maybe they don't have all the all-stars. Like in Georgia, like you mentioned, was
Mhm.
a perfect example of a team that just played like a team. They don't have a superstar roster of like all these people that are just huge names. They've got a couple of them, but they just played as a team and they passed the bat and they, stacked stuff together and they were just fun to watch, the energy and all that. So I'm excited to see them a little bit more. Oklahoma, of course. Now I have to say, they beat UTEP 36-0. That does nothing but pad stats. I think at some point that's you could be, you're either playing in a Clearwater type tournament where you're getting, you're really iron forces iron, or you're playing people that of course you should beat up. And I don't know that that's that compelling, but it does help the confidence for a lot of young players, which Coach Gasso does have. So, there's a method for every madness, I guess you can say, to get something done, depending on the different philosophies of the coaching staffs. I'm excited at some point to see what ASU does. Brown is woo. I mean, she's been throwing great. I just, I
Yeah.
love to see all of a sudden these athletes that are doing a great job of really representing. So I think there's going to be some fun stories this year.
Yeah. Also, this weekend coming up is the Mary Nutter. Everyone
Yes.
loves to talk about Mary Nutter. Japan is going to be at Mary Nutter. So, and they're going to play Texas Tech, which I think it's so exciting every time Japan comes
Yes.
to that tournament. What you've got plenty of experience playing in Japan. So, what is it about that program that just makes it so special?
Japan is just special because they are meticulous with everything. Everything they do is of the utmost quality. We're more qualitative, excuse me, we're more the quality of the practice. They're more quantitative. If you want to be good at something within the Japanese culture, you spend a lot of time doing it. And so they spend a lot of time practicing. Their fundamentals are just off the charts. They're just so strong. We're more qualitative, like we want a quicker quality practice, maybe a 2-hour practice instead of a 6-hour practice. And each of those bodes well for different um for in different ways, I guess you say, in different cultural aspects. And of course we have regulations in NCAA on how much
Mhm.
time, because they are student athletes, even though with NIL and everything else, it feels like there's semi-pro athletes now. But the Japanese are just so good at doing, like, when you talk about fundamental softball, like how to pitch on the edges, how to mix speeds, how to never put the ball on the white part of the plate. That's what you're going to see from their pitching staff. When you talk about a defense, they know angles, how to go get balls, how to charge balls. They know their release, how to set up, a ball in their glove and get rid of it so quickly. Just they're so much fun to watch because they do all the little things right. And it's funny because when kids are growing up, we always talk about fundamentals. Just because you're working on a fundamental doesn't mean it's easy. The fundamentals of the sport done at an elite level is what makes you an elite athlete. And that's what the Japanese do so well. So it's going to be fun to watch them go up against these collegiate teams. And, that's the country that's beaten us the last two Olympic Games. There's a lot of pride in that country. They love the diamond sports. Obviously, look at how good they are in baseball and softball. So it's always a great matchup when you see them coming to the U.S. to play us.
It's their only American stop for the year. So I think
Uh,
whoever's in Cathedral City this weekend is in for a show.
in for a show.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come chat with me. And hopefully, I have you back on here at some point during the season.
Absolutely. Anytime, just let me know. Always love to talk softball. I do want to add one more thing real quick about Clearwater, just so everybody listening. We've got a $20 million renovation that's going to start the day after this tournament ends in 2027. So next year, the day the tournament is over, they are going to start fields 1 through 4. They're investing that. And when I say they, the city of Clearwater, Nellis County is investing over $20 million to make like 4 little small mini stadiums with a press box. It's going to be awesome. Is our sport finally needs it. Our sport puts a lot of money into economies, local economies. It's really great now that these economies are going to start investing back in the sport of softball. I'm super excited for that. And 2028 it'll open up. It'll be open in time for hopefully the U.S. Olympic team to be training, and as well as the ESPN event in 2028. So a lot of good things coming forward for our sport.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
Four,
it's fun.
so four like mini stadiums, basically.
Yeah, basically they're taking the wagon wheel complex that they have there now, and they're gonna build the little stadiums. They're gonna have the ability to put in seating in the outfield, but they're gonna put a press box up so all 4 of those fields can be broadcast at one time during the ESPN event, and it'll give more room, more people, more access for people to come watch. It's really special. It's gonna be great for the sport.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah, good
I'm
stuff.
looking forward to it. Okay. Well, good luck with the rest of your season. and we
Thank
will
you.
talk to you again down the road.
Yes, I look forward to touching base with you again this year.
Awesome. Thank you. That was Michele Smith, ESPN analyst and former Team USA Olympian, gold medalist, all of the things. Such a blast talking softball with her. And I don't want to waste your time just talking by myself about what happened last weekend when most of us saw it. And why hash it all out on replay when we could just talk to someone who was playing? So let's go ahead and bring in Jesse Farrell. She is a junior catcher with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and this is her first season in Lincoln. Jesse, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Have you had a chance to really soak in the last couple weeks and what the Huskers have done taking down two number one ranked teams?
Yeah, it's been so much fun. And it's just been like just team bonding all around, and even if tough losses, we're still just having so much fun together.
That game against Texas Tech is something that I spoke to Michele Smith about. She raved about it, said it was so good for our sport for it to be on ESPN. And for you specifically, the home run off Nigeri Kennedy. Can you just take me through that at bat? What were you hunting for?
So this was a huge team effort, actually. So our dugout picked that just change up. So hitters were sitting one speed, and obviously, right-handed hitter, you're gonna get third base side. I mean, that's what every right-handed hitter wants, and so if you just get on time and your dugout has your back on the changeup, so you're just sitting really a rise ball, so you just think top of ball, and pretty much what I just did, and just have to get a pitch up in order to, let it fly. So
What were the emotions like? I mean, that high drama game, you had to be feeling something as you were rounding the bases, knowing that you just tied the game against one of the best pitchers in the country.
yeah, it literally did not feel real. It was just like, I don't know, I wanted to be up there, and it was just such an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Did you feel anything when it hit the barrel, or was it
Oh,
one
I
of
was
those?
like, "Did I just do that?" Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is your first season with Nebraska, and you have been, I mean, you're catching one of the best staffs in the country. So can you
Mhm.
talk about what it's like to be behind the plate, not just with Jordy, but with Alexis now that she's kind of taken on this role as a second starter?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Just even catching for a pitcher that wants to be in the circle and, like, just has so much love for the game and just the enthusiasm that's behind every pitch, I love it. And Alexis's energy may get to some people, like, she strikes you out, she's gonna yell at you. But it's just so much fun to be able to catch for her and, like, be in on that energy with her. Yeah.
What was it that led you to Nebraska when you entered the portal out of UNLV?
So, originally coming out of high school, Nebraska was one of my dream schools, but unfortunately I had to go to UNLV, and I am so, so grateful for that journey. And like UNLV taught me so much. And I think just coming to Nebraska, I got to show what I learned, and I'm hoping to take a leadership role here at Nebraska. And I think I just put that in my mind and played the game I love to my best of my ability.
What was the process like in the portal? Did Nebraska reach out immediately? Can you dive into that a little bit?
So last season, I was actually a shortstop. So I got a lot more offers playing infield than I did catching, and I wanted to catch. And Nebraska needed a catcher, and that's having it been one of my dream schools. I was like, let's go. And my travel ball teammates are all on this team, so
Mm.
I'm coming back to play with like six of my best friends. So it was like a no-brainer for me.
Had you visited before?
No, I committed blind, but I knew I was gonna like it no matter what, so
Oh my gosh, you committed
yes.
blind? Was that
Yeah.
nerve-wracking?
Yes and no, because my teammates just have always raved about the facilities and stuff, and I didn't really care about the facilities more, I just care about who I play with and the coach I play for, and so just watching them on TV in postseason, I was like, "Yeah, I wanna go there." Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so through the first 2 weeks, you've played ranked team after ranked team after ranked team. Looked back at your stats at UNLV, I think you played Oregon once during your sophomore season, and there wasn't much else as far as ranked teams go. So how was the transition for you going from the mid-major and then seeing all of this top-level competition right out the gate?
I love it. I think it pushes us to be better, and we have been preparing so much with Coach Miller and Coach Revelle that it's like we're ready for this competition, and this stuff is only teaching us to be better and making adjustments faster, and I think it's gonna really help us in conference when maybe we're playing a lower ranked team, that we
Mhm.
just have to keep the same mindset of if this team was ranked that we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you allow yourself to celebrate some of these wins? I mean they're big. I know it's early, but I think in the long run these wins are gonna pay off. So do you allow yourself time to really think about, "Oh, we beat Texas. Oh, we beat Texas Tech." Oh, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes and no. I would say, like, that bus ride back to the airport or the hotel, it's alive. Like, we'll be singing, but then we just think about, "Oh, we have South Carolina on Friday." Like, we have to it's a quick celebration because then we're right back to preparing for the next team. But
Mhm.
looking back and, like, it's just, like, a reminder that we can do whatever we put our minds to, and so we'll keep celebrating those wins throughout the season, but the next game's ahead.
So ahead is Mary Nutter.
Mhm.
It's one of the largest tournaments in the country. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
This weekend, I think it's just gonna be so much fun, and I think this is a great time for our offense to be kinda get back into style a little bit, just with we're not playing as many ranked teams, so this is when we have to turn it around and really concentrate even more because we know that any team can slide right by if we don't put the foot on the gas, you know what I mean? It's just we have to be ready. Even if it's a lesser ranked team, we can't let that number dictate how we play.
Yeah. You played in the Mary Nutter before?
I have not, so this is the first time. I'm
I'm
excited.
sure you've heard all about it, right?
Oh, yeah, I was there when I was, like, 12 years old, but haven't played there yet. Yeah.
Did you stand in line for autographs back in the day?
Oh, yeah. Yep, the whole shebang.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
It's the best. I love it. I wish I was going, but I unfortunately won't be there. But what about you haven't played at home yet? So when that happens next month, what are you most excited about when it comes to playing at Bowling?
The fans. I think even in the fall, like a fall game we were almost sold out, I was like, "Wow." I can't imagine what a regular season game is gonna look like, and just to be able to play in the state of Nebraska is literally such a blessing, and no matter where we go, we always have support, and I think it's gonna be so much fun for our fans not to have to travel this time, so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time this morning to come chat with me.
Yes,
I
of
wish you the
course.
best of luck this weekend and the
Thank
rest of the
you.
way.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure we'll talk again at some point.
Yes, sounds good. Thank
Thank
you.
you. That was junior catcher Jesse Farrell from the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who are ranked as high as number 6 heading into their 5-game slate at the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Softball on SI podcast. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you next week.